of Shabbat. Let's see. Some candles. This beautiful candle. Isn't that nice? I'll have to hold it, I think. It's fine.
My teacher, merciless and correct. You can learn it real. First, slow down and listen. Find your silence. Build yourself a sanctuary from the inside out. The pause before you launch is correct. Learn listening. It's an inside job. Start inside, you'll grow out and up later. Justice and mercy. Justice and mercy. Justice and mercy. And something else. Justice and mercy. Justice and mercy. Justice and mercy. And something else. You know what the something else is?
Something else. Kindness.
Justice and mercy.
We know.
Justice and mercy.
So, kindness. Kindness.
Justice and mercy.
And kindness.
And something else.
It's so good. I love that.
Take up a pencil and write through. You'll be grateful if one day you find a source in your soul you can communicate with. Justice and mercy. Justice and mercy. Justice and mercy. And something else. Justice and mercy. And what else?
Kindness.
Justice and mercy. What else?
And kindness.
Justice and mercy.
And so much kindness.
And kindness.
Kindness.
Look up the word palimpsest. More later. I love you. Everyone loves you. Yours truly, King David.
Kindness.
Justice and mercy.
And kindness.
Justice and mercy.
And kindness.
Justice and mercy.
And kindness. Kindness.
And kindness.
We have control over that. That's what we
Justice
can always
and
choose.
mercy.
We can always choose kindness. It's always within our power.
And
It's always in our
kindness.
hands to respond with kindness. Thank you, Jimmy. Beautiful. Thank you. So it was a Shabbat, that ended an eventful week for our nation, for our people. This week, it was so interesting that we were in the plagues this week. The plagues that remind us that there are consequences when we don't have justice, mercy, and kindness. There are consequences when the people in power abuse their privilege. But this week we leave that narrow place behind. This week, Bishalach, song at the sea. A time when we have this chutzpah to leave a narrow place behind. And dream of a better way. Dream of a better way of being with each other.
לכבוד לבבי ירי יריהו הנביא לכבוד חמדת לבבי ירי המבדיל בין קודש לחול חטאותינו ימחו המבדיל בין קודש לחול חטאותינו
Begin Shabbat by lighting the beautiful Shabbat candles, cleaning up the mess by setting the table, and then by lighting the candles, and praying that the beauty of that light carries us through that gift of time, the taste of the world to come. We bring the upper and the lower worlds just a little bit closer together. And then we're ready to let it go. And we let it go again with light. A beautiful candle. Havdalah candle.
On my right, Michael. Yalla Siedra Gabriel Derecha Michael
Because during the week, the angels are separate, but on Shabbat, everything comes together. Reminded of the oneness of creation, how everything is connected. There we go. Dogs are singing today.
Okay.
You got a poem?
Of course.
Good. Let's have a
Long
poem.
days long.
Nice.
God has begun, clothes in majesty, girded with strength, who will not be moved. The throne firm. From then to forever. Rise up, rivers of God, rivers of voices, rivers that fall, voices of mighty waters, roar of the sea, lift of the God. Witnesses, truthful and loyal to your house, deserving holiness. Long days long. Bless our president and our vice president and all their holy retinue.
We are a people that makes distinctions. We are a people that respects differences. We are a people that challenges ourselves and others to know who we are, who you are, so that we can be true to that and add our voices.
לכבודכם דת לבבי, ידיהו הנביא.
To a symphony that will come together one day. That's why we sang, I think, Crossing the Sea, don't you think? We sang.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei Peri. Oh, blessed are you, Holy God, ruler of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Find some spices in your home.
Let
them awaken you and arouse you. Smell this little lavender. Nice, huh? Can't wait till it grows in the garden again. Look at your nail beds. Look at the reflection in your eyes. In that place, nail beds, you know. The last vegetable place that was protection in the Garden of Eden.
Fire as well as light.
Passion, that's what it takes. Caring enough. Our kids learned about putting their bodies on the line this morning. In our religious school, they did the weekend is devoted to Black Lives Matter and what our place is in the movement, if we're white or if we're black or if we're brown, and how we use our bodies to make sure other bodies are safe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamabdil ben kodesh l'chol, who distinguishes between the holy and the not yet holy, ben or the choshen, ben Yisrael yamim v'sheshet yemei ha'maseh. Yom HaShvi'i, who distinguishes between light and darkness, Israel and the nations, the 6 days and the 7th day. Baruch atah Adonai hamabdil ben kodesh l'chol, who distinguishes between the holy and the not yet holy. לכבודכם דת לבבי. ידי ידי
הנביא.
לכבודכם דת לבבי. ידי ידי
הנביא.
This is the melody we used to sing in my youth in Thessaloniki.
Oh yeah. What's that?
This one.
Really? You weren't from there.
Yeah,
My grandmother's from there.
that's what I mean.
My grandmother came from a small town near Salonika called Drama. Her family came from Monastir. They at one time came from Spain and made their way through Yugoslavia. We have relatives in Sarajevo. But she was born in a small town called Drama near Salonika. And that's where my grandfather met her. He was from Kastoria.
You're the sweetest smelling flowers.
Yes. Oh, that's the story. I grew up with this story where my grandmother would say, he was so handsome. He came into the town just before Shabbat. And he came to the well because all the young women would go to the well to prepare for Shabbat. And he had, and we each had, he gave us each a flower, she said. And then he went from flower to flower, sniffing the flowers. And he came to mine, and he said it was the most beautiful flower of all. So she brought him home for Shabbat. They had Shabbat dinner, and that was it. They fell in love because she was the most beautiful flower, he said.
I love that story.
But then things got dark for them, you know. Right after World War I, things got dark. And my grandfather was going to be conscripted, I think, to fight the Bulgarians. And he knew that as a Jew, he would be the first, he would be the front line for a war that wasn't his, a fight that wasn't his. So he booked passage for my grandmother and their small baby, Raina, my Aunt Jerry, the oldest of 7, who would be 7. And they came on steerage to Ellis Island in 1916. And somehow they were able to get processed, and they came to the Lower East Side. The first apartment was on Forsyth, and then they moved to Eldred Street, and that's where my father was born, on the kitchen table on Eldred Street, right across the street from the Eldred Street Synagogue. He's going to be 95. But that's a story that, many of our people can tell. And so when we think about immigrants and refugees, and we think about the people, what America is supposed to be, what it's supposed to be, like Emma Lazarus said, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Send these the tempest tossed to me. So,
Good story. I love that story.
It's a real story.
But that's what we do on this Saturday night, the ritual. It's called Malava Malka. This.
Yeah.
It's to accompany the queen.
Right.
The queen is the Shabbos bride. We accompany her, the queen. And we delay her departure.
By telling stories
Saturday
and
night,
singing
because she
songs.
loves stories and songs.
Yeah, so she'll stay with us a little longer, as long as we have some good stories to tell.
That's the stories and the songs. Delay her departure.
My grandmother also, she had all these granddaughters, and she had this really long, beautiful hair. Even as an old woman, well, probably my age, actually. I thought she was old. She was probably younger than I am now. But we used to love to brush her hair and comb her hair and braid her hair, and she would let us. And then, she had this perfect skin. And we'd always ask her why her skin was so beautiful, why it was so perfect. And she'd say, ivory soap.
Yeah. Also the water in her tongue.
But then she would say, when she knew we were really listening and she was serious, she'd say it was that well. It was the water in the well in her town. It was so clean and clear, she said. We drank from that water. And she said, and that's why.
When I used to go visit the Rose of Jericho, in Jericho, when we would come back to Jerusalem from Jericho at the end of the day, she would say, I have to stop at the well.
Wow.
So she would take me to this
Really?
undisclosed location where there was this big kind of industrial spigot coming out of the ground. And she twisted the spigot and water would come pouring out, and she had brought these jerry cans with her in her car, and she filled up the jerry cans with water, and she said to me, this is the well of Elisha.
Right.
And my friends in Jerusalem asked me to bring this water back to them. So she would fill up the jerry cans with water. Now, she was a PhD biochemist.
She was.
And her friends in Jerusalem were all these MDs and PhDs at Havdalah Hospital waiting for the water from the well of Elisha in these jerry cans from Jericho.
Right.
I was there.
Yeah. The well of Elisha, when that's another great story. When the Syrian general Naaman got some kind of terrible skin disease, like leprosy. They thought it was leprosy. That's what they called it. He couldn't get any relief, and so his wife had a Hebrew maid servant, and she said, all you have to do is go see the prophet Elisha. He'll cure him. And the wife said to her husband, why don't we go see him? And he said, if something happens, I might have to wage war on them. Let's give it a try. So they went, and Elisha said, go dunk 7 times in my spring, right? That fills the River Jordan on its way to the Yam HaMelech.
And Elisha, of course, was Elijah's successor.
Yes. Elisha actually saw Elijah ascend into the pillar of fire, the chariot of fire. So that's what happened. So actually, Naaman, the Syrian general, got so angry. He said, I came all this way, and you're going to tell me to dunk 7 times in a spring? And he was ready to kill him because he was so angry, right?
That's exactly what
That's your cure for me?
Yeah, that's it.
Crazy. I'm going to kill you. But the wife said, wait, give him a chance. If it doesn't work, then you can kill him, So I'll be darned if he didn't go and he dunked 7 times. And those magical waters of the spring, of the well of Elisha, healed him. Can't underestimate the power of the waters. Let Eliyahu Hanavi, let Elijah come.
Michael. To the right, the angel Michael. Gabriel. To my left, the angel Gabriel.
Eliyahu, sing with us. be.
Eliyahu,
Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Agiladi. Let's sing a little justice and mercy.
You thought we were going to this one. Eliyahu Hanavi.
Thanks for joining us for Havdalah. We hope you've had a wonderful Shabbat. Extended it a little bit, keeping the Shekhinah here with us a little bit longer. But she'll be back. She'll be back. Make every day count. In this week when we leave that narrow place behind and we sing our way, at least through the sea, on our way, on our path to something better. And we'll be back in the morning, right? We're up to Psalm 74.
What?
I mean 94. We'll be back in the morning with Psalms. Psalm 94. Have a great night. We say Shavua Tov. Let it be a good week, a week of peace. Justice, peace,